Welcome back, everybody. This is Shear Chat, the premiere of Season 2. I'm your host right here, Rashawn Broadnex with Rayceen Pendarvis and Harold Balenciaga. We were just talking about Pose. Before we move on to the state of ballroom, as I was calling it, I want to touch a little bit on what we saw last night in episode 4 of Pose. Harold, you want to start us off? What was the moment that was something that you would want to highlight?
It was so much, but I guess I'm really torn. I guess between the part with Angel and her relationship, with the married man and the struggle that I don't want to say that's limited to transgender women, because
it's not.
I think a lot of people deal with that and struggle with that, mm-hmm. and even Electra's relationship, with her gentleman, But I also, but then I'd be remiss not to even, to me it was so powerful to see a group of people go together and get tested, mm-hmm. and I think that we don't see a lot of that in our community now, because unfortunately, I think we stigmatize being HIV positive, mm-hmm. and AIDS in such a negative way that people, are afraid to open up and disclose, where they are as far as their status, or wanting to talk to, people about getting tested, or potentially even, getting tested, around friends. So even a lot of times at balls, you'll have agencies that say, right. They want to come test, mm-hmm. and to me, I just don't think it's a good environment, because, one, if someone finds out they're positive there,
right.
what is their emotional response? Right. You know what I'm saying? How are they going to feel? So, we have to take a lot of that into account. But I don't want to take all the time.
No,
I could go on and on.
But you know what? And I think you brought out a good point, because at my job, we did the same thing. And some years ago, we had an experience like that where someone found out and the emotional response was not the best, for that environment.
Right.
And it really kind of rocked a lot of people, because some people had already been dealing with it but were okay. But when this person kind of found out and they reacted a certain way, it kind of brought things full circle for them. And it kind of
opened a fresh one.
Yeah. So, but I think that, that's important, that the agencies must continue to press and find those right environments for to be able to test people, because it is so important. That was one of the things that I tweeted last night, that the conversation about status is important. It may be difficult, but we have to have it, as well as the testing is so important, because you have to know. The worst thing, in my opinion, is to not know, because you can't conduct yourself accordingly. You can't.
But here's another thing. When I watched the series, and the older Billy Porter, mm-hmm. his character, amazing character, was so fearful, mm-hmm. of whether or not he would get tested. And he was so fearful of what other people thought, mm-hmm. he told a lie and said he was negative instead of positive, because he was so fearful of what the perception surrounding that. So I think
let me ask you a question, because I didn't get that. I got that, or maybe this was just my, trying to think positive, but I said, did he tell the lie because he did not want to bring that to the young children who had also just gotten tested? Did he not want to have that negativity, bring that out and kind of scare them? That's how I kind of took it.
I mean, it was two ways. It's two ways, because as someone who, someone who's older, and someone who people look at, mm-hmm. and when people look at you in a certain way, and if you find out something that they feel is negative, mm-hmm. you might want to shield them, or fearful of wanting to expose yourself and be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. It's vulnerable. Aging is vulnerable. It's hard to be. I see, as someone I have to live my life authentically as someone who is clearly over a certain age now, but it is hard to age in a ballroom. And it is hard to be vulnerable as someone who is old. Then as someone who is old, and then you tell someone you're positive, then they look at you as like, oh my God, you're old and positive, and you're dying.
Right. And then
So,
also,
I felt a lot of that surrounding his character. So I don't know what, at this point in my life, I'm so grateful. Thank God I am over. 70 is knocking, and I am that positive, and I've outlived all of my peers. That is a blow when you think about all of that, and you can say, why am I still here? I'm still here through the grace of God, because sometimes you have to live a certain life so people will say, if I live this life, I can tell you how to take care of yourself. That you technically don't have to, your body's a temple. Honor your body. You don't have to lay up to be loved. You are authentically and wonderfully made, and you are beautiful in all of your image of who you are. And then it brings to the girls, to our trans community, wanting to look what their mindset of what the things and the images that they see of being unclockable. That if I have bigger breasts or bigger hips or bigger lips, I'm unclockable.
So is that your moment from the episode? Is that the
no? That's one of the moments, because I watch girls go from being beautiful to unrecognizable to being cartoonish
to almost, what did you do?
You be like, you look at them, you be like, girl, you went from to oh my,
Okay, so now let's talk about that for a minute, because I know, again, I know that story for some people, and so I wonder, at what point did they lose the ability to make that? I don't know what you want to call it, to see when too much was too much.
Well, I mean, I don't think that people ever get to a point and they say, okay, well, I'm perfect. I think that, so I think it takes friends also being realistic and saying, hey, girl,
enough is enough.
Enough is enough, right? Yeah, because I think that, sometimes people, are so in pursuit of trying to achieve. And I hate to sit here when people say, oh, she did this for Ballroom. Or, you know what I'm saying? That's one of the only things I didn't really like from that episode last night, to see, like, the girls are still going to go get pumped just because they're for a category. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times it's about self-confidence.
Right.
And, I've heard girls, the prettiest of girls real as rain, feel, that they were inadequate because other girls had larger breasts or, a rounder butt, or, you know what I'm saying? And they went striving to achieve what the pseudo happiness that they thought these women had.
Right.
So, I think sometimes, what I'm saying, I think maybe, I don't know if we need to celebrate our people more to make them,
I feel we should always tell folks you are enough. And sometimes we need to, that is an issue. But a lot of times, of course, we have to be clear. Ballroom is competitive. So the girls will be like, well, child, it's on. I'm going to get ready to slay these children. I need a little bit more to pump it on through. But it's really about confidence.
It is. But
it's really about confidence.
That was, to me, the underlining message of that whole, that scene or setup was, even though she wanted to walk and she had been chopped twice, it was really, when she talked to Elektra about what she was going through and, talked to Angel, she was really saying she wanted to be happy with herself. To me, it was a little more than just Ballroom. Ballroom is the exterior, right. We can be happy. One thing that I've always said, not because I'm going all over, one thing that I've always said with Ballroom is, Ballroom lasts for a night. What happens in the morning? And that's what I used to tell people that I talk to all the time, that you can win tonight, but what about tomorrow? So it has to be more than this moment. Yes, this moment is great. But you can celebrate
here's another thing that when I thought about the two women that were doing the pumping. The one who was more expensive, but very thorough.
Yes.
And she was very detailed, and she was very clear on what was going. But sometimes kids don't want to listen in the rush to perfection. Will say, well, if I pay a cheaper, if I get it on a discount, If I get it on a
well,
bar,
like she said, on a layaway.
that's going to work for you.
Right.
But in the end result, it's like building a house. And if you build that house correctly, the foundation is stable. And if it's unstable, look what happened to her when it was too much. She passed out. She had all these complications because she rushed too soon to get that work.
And a girl shared, Monique, she's over on Mother of the House of Khan. She shared her experience online of getting pumped, and getting to a point that she wound up passing out and had to be rushed for emergency care. So, hopefully, this opens some people's eyes.
Absolutely.
People have some conversations.
I think it was like a PSA.
I was just about to say it was something for people to really pay attention to, especially those who are going through that or trying to decide, in this moment, which way am I going to go? Do I have enough to go to the more thorough person? Sometimes you have to put off, which, for the best. You can't rush and do. And I just hope that people take heed to everything that was in the episode, because there were so many little messages. And actually throughout all of the episodes, there were so many messages that I hope people grasp hold to and really think about and internalize. So.
And I think that, one of the things that I felt early on people didn't consider, in our lifestyle, we didn't have the longevity of life. You know what I'm saying? So, now, that's changed. While, HIV is still real, you can live with HIV and, and just, with proper medication, live fine. I have friends that have been positive for over 25 years. So, so realistically, what I'm saying, when you're thinking of body augmentation, what I'm saying, you have to think of what you're putting in your body. A lot of these products that people use to pump people, can cause cancer. As even shared there, a person can, inject it into your bloodstream, this and that, whatever the case. So, you don't want to have those complications. So, more and more insurance companies and even medical assistance programs are covering, the work that's done to, allow these people to,
augmentation.
Right.
They paying for the girls to get breasts and things. And the girls are getting their, and what is it called? Female facialization. Feminine facial. And the kids are getting that done, and to look to be as real as, and I get it. To maneuver through this world as real as possible, and not to be harmed or not to be hurt. To feel as if you are unclockable. And I get it for our trans community, especially with trans men. Many of them go through some things that we don't talk about our trans brothers enough, and really fully celebrate them. But their experience is our story too, because many of them struggle with being outed when someone finds out, wait a minute, that's a what?
Right.
Or not being able to pass, to still look like a very feminine girl, but very butchy. And their ability to want to live authentically and to be able to maneuver through life as men and not be caught. And that's what we are. And I get it, and I celebrate that. But going back to Pose, you know what I loved? The moment the young dancer looked up and saw his house mother in the audience. And the moment his teacher turned around and they connected, my heart, I
made a post about it. Because I think that is one of to see that moment captured really brought me to tears, because there are so many times, there are so many things that, as a parent, whether you're a ballroom parent, whether you're somebody's just gay parent or what I'm saying, even biological parents. There are so many moments that you push for somebody. You try to help them achieve something. You sacrifice, or even if their whole journey. To see a person, really achieve their dream is just a moment that you just relish in. And last night, just to see that, I've experienced that on so many instances, and just to see that joy on TV, it's like somebody gets. I feel like it's like an end the road.
I felt like the moment for a parent who, I am a father of 5 and mother of many. Grandfather of 2. So you figure that out. But it reminds me of the moment you see your child take their first step. And I felt I took that journey, and I'm taking that journey. Oh my God, my heart, I celebrate Pose like and no other, because it is groundbreaking. It's groundbreaking. And, and if you, Ryan Murphy, if you're listening out there, there is a role for an older girl. You don't have anyone that really represents the senior community. There's some girls up there, they're old, but from Shady Pines. From Shady Pines. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I'll say this, like I said, for me, many of the scenes that have been, brought forth on the show from all of the episodes, they have spoken to me, and I am so much in agreement with you. Like you said, when you sit and you know what you have done to kind of help someone else realize their dream, that is a moment that is almost like none other. And so to me, because I have a child who was an aspiring hairstylist years ago, before I was a hairstylist, that was the gag for me.
Right.
Before I was. But because his mind wasn't there yet, when I moved here, I went to hair school. And so when I learned what it was about, I said, you need to do this so that you can be where you want to be. And it did my heart so much joy, I guess you can say, when he graduated from cosmetology school, and to see that he's now working with celebrities, which was his dream years ago. So to know that you can, as parents, impart in children and help them grow and mature in a way that they're able to realize their dreams, to me is another one of those moments like none other. So let's go right in. The last segment, we're going to talk about the state of the ballroom right now and where do we think it's going. Harold, you want to start us off with that?
I have no idea where ballroom is going, because even if you would have asked me 2 years ago, would I have imagined ballroom on TV? 5 years ago, if you would have asked me, I have house members in Paris, one in Germany, and one in Russia. So Trump, you're not the only one that has Russian connections. Bam! But I just don't know. And, I'm just glad that I'm here for the ride to see, the beauty of it all. And I just hope that, as a community, we're able to harness this exposure, and, it really transcend into, building an even stronger foundation, providing opportunities for people, as Rayceen said, whether it's modeling, stylists of all kinds. Even if you're organizing a ball, that's event planning. There are so many things that, opportunities that can come from, now people seeing the talent and, how educated, people, in the scene are. For the longest time, everybody has this assumption that people participating in balls, they don't work, they don't go to school, and that's so not true. That's so not true. So.
And I'm glad you brought that, because that is a very important point, that the community really it's no different than anything else. There are persons within the community. We've seen for years, I know when I was kind of coming into the ballroom, I noticed a lot of people, that's when like the celebrities were coming to the balls. So you would see various people, and I'm like, okay, girl, what's she doing here? And you would have people usher them in. And I'm like, well, what's going on? But they were taking in what was going on. And then I think a lot of what we see now is because of that. When people heard that so-and-so was in the ballroom, and then they tell their experience of what it was, you have other people kind of going in and latching onto a lot of stuff. And I think that's how it has been, I don't want to say it like this, but has been pulled from out of the underground, into the mainstream.
When you see it on all these television shows,
absolutely.
When you close your eyes and a group of women are all sounding like the girls,
right? Everybody's vogue,
and all our terminology and all of that is taken into all of these television shows and incorporate stolen. Sometimes, where it's just due. You can now when you borrow it, when you say, because there are things like "bam," I get from my good friend and get you some Yardé Noir. I give credit where I steal or something and give me credit back. See, so all the girls on TV honor your LGBTQI good Judies, and when you take it, say I'm borrowing it from the girl,
right?
So it's important. But thinking of ballroom, when I think of people like the importance of when I hear this. Dr. Ayana Khan, Dr. Saul Pendarvis, Dr. Tommy Murphy, all of these wonderful people, and I hear the word doctor behind their name, it lets you know that you can achieve whatever you want in this world. The ballroom teaches you that the ceiling is not the glass ceiling. Aim and break it. So when we realize that, we don't have any barriers. And when to say in my lifetime, one of the greatest moments was honoring Paris is Burning in the Smithsonian on the 25th anniversary and hosting it and sitting there, and it was so well received that they had to have 2 separate showings on the same day to accommodate the crowd, and then for it to go into the Library of Congress and to see that, and then when you click on your TV and to see these young kids, the little young man who is Omni, who is a little young boy who's about 10 years old, who dresses up in drag and is walking Fashion Week. The little Caucasian little fella, I can't think of your name, but you're an Omni, and this little child is turning. He's in commercials and doing all these amazing things. To see this little boy, and first of all, celebrated by his parents. Now, little kids go through phases with makeup and stuff, and to see him do tutorials, and then he acquired a makeup contract.
Oh, really?
So if this little boy at 10 years old doesn't mean that he's going to be LGBT, he's just finding his way. And if it is, celebrate it. And whatever that may look like for him or for his journey, it's not everybody's journey is different. So that lets me know that here we are, ballroom, the state of ballroom, to meet folks who don't speak any English, but to see them honor our community in a way it is celebrated, and they are twirling, and like you say, Russia and China, and these kids are voguing and carrying on. I'm overwhelmed. And then what's so funny is when the little English that they know, when you hear the word extravaganza, Balenciaga, Pendarvis come out their mouth. I heard some child say that when somebody, and of course you don't know you're walking in your own light, you don't know you're just walking. And this child, when she heard someone call my name, and she said, "Oh my God, you're Pendarvis?" I said, "Yes." And just in case she had a negative experience with the ball community, she was gonna hit me or something. But when she said, "Oh my God, you are a part of your legacy," and to talk to this young person who was new in this country, just coming out, or how about this? Ballroom is celebrated in a way in countries that don't affirm a lot of these people who they come here and they are affirmed, or they're creating spaces like we did back in the day in the countries that don't, Jamaica, or these island countries where you could be, and Russia, where you could be harmed and killed for being LGBTQI, but the subculture of the ballroom community is there, and they are celebrating each other, and they're creating safe spaces.
And you say that, and I had a conversation with one of my house members in Germany, and they were planning a Unity Ball there, and he was stating how they couldn't really advertise it, even though it was in Germany, because just a certain faction of the community would probably come and try to ruin things or whatever. So yeah,
I'll just say, I think it's amazing. I love what I'm seeing now, and like you said, to pay homage to where homage is due, to all those who have told the story. And like you said, Paris is burning. At the time when I was in the ballroom, there was a gentleman, I can't think of his name. I remember his name was Wolfgang, but I can't remember his full name. But he did How Do I Look?
How Do I Look?
Right. And then, so there's been so many people, to start to tell the story.
I love How Do I Look?
And I thought it was just amazing at that time, because to me it was this gentleman running around the ballroom, rolling on the floor and taking these pictures, but cataloging every moment, from the great to the small, every moment, to kind of put together this documentary to let people know what was really going on, what the ballroom
and how
was
about
really about.
Gerald Gaskins,
yes,
who created a wonderful and amazing book, that is in a wonderful tabletop book that everyone should have. And it's not the only one. There's several other books. There is a 25th anniversary commemorating Paris is Burning table book. There's another book called Drags, Dames, and Divas by James, who will bring some of the ballroom kids in, and that's a wonderful book. And there's some other books that if I've forgotten them, please charge it to my mind and at my heart. But once you click on for these books, other books will come. So these are amazing books. And shout out to Swerve Magazine.
Absolutely.
Who I had the opportunity to appear on the very first time that they ever had on a mainstream magazine. The iconic figures, David, myself, Tracy, and Robbie St. Laurent. And then we brought in the younger girls, Leomi and Roxy. And to have it shot by the amazing, wonderful photographer. And he was such an amazing, he was shooting Fashion Week, and he came in and to shoot our cover. And I was so honored and so moved. And my mind, I could picture his face. Michael Ruiz, the amazing fashion photographer, Michael Ruiz, God bless you, for shooting that cover. And then for them to honoring it again, like almost 10 years later, and brought in the younger generation, and to see them, and it's it lets you know that hopefully one day, and to see people like Laverne Cox and Janet Mock, and all of these wonderful folks who are part of our community walk into their light, into mainstream. Who knows? We might have an LGBTQ or trans president. Who knows? So it's and if I see it, God, if I see it in my lifetime, who knows? So that lets us know where we can go with this,
right?
And I think that's a very big point. I think for a long time we may have held ourselves back because we felt there were certain places we couldn't go, or certain things that we shouldn't or couldn't do. And now that the door has been kicked open, and I don't. I want to also mention. I know that. I don't know if you know. There's another show on TV, My House.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And so, see, I'll have to have you guys back to talk about that,
because I just got into that.
I love My House. Now,
I just got into that.
I don't want to talk too much about it, but I look at Pose is giving me the history, whereas My House is giving me their reality, right now.
Right.
So it's everything, and the same things that they talk about. I'm like, I remember a story, I remember. So that's what I really enjoy about all of these shows that they brought out. So I'm so excited that we now have these new platforms, I'll say, to expose and further knowledge of the community and things that we have going on, not always on the negative side, because it's so easy to talk about the negative, and I'm sure many people know the negative, but to celebrate the positive and the great things that people are actually doing. In both shows, they talk about the great things that people are doing and the careers that they have, and how they're trying to walk in their truth. So, on that note, we're going to take a break and we will be back in a moment with our closing. See you in a moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we are back. This is our closing of this episode. Again, this was the premiere of Season 2 of Shear Chat. I am your host, Rashawn Broadnex, with my special guests, Rayceen Pendarvis and Harold Balenciaga, Father Harold Balenciaga. And like always, we always open the season with the toast and we close the season with the toast. So without further ado, I'm going to try not to make a mess. I haven't done it yet, thank God.
Okay.
And you know, they make these bottles, these are kind of new. It's like all this new stuff.
Don't shake it too hard.
You know what? I'm trying to hold it. Okay, all this new. But I want to say thank you to you guys for making it here this evening. Thank you for sharing your experiences. The conversation was great. I look forward to having you back. So, here we go. Ooh, I love it.
Ooh.
I jumped.
I always jump, right? Ooh. Okay, so we'll give you a little.
That's enough. That's enough. And that's for you.
Yes.
Here's to life. Here's to love. Here's to you.
Tip the glass.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But as long as we have a little, so we'll say life, love, happiness, more episodes of Pose and more episodes of Shear Chat along with seasons. We'll look forward to seeing you soon. Take the drink. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again when next we speak.
That's been copyrighted.
That was for Tony.
You owe me a quarter.
Yes, no problem. I have one for you.
Give me a little bit more. Thank you, sweetheart. This was beautiful.